Welcome to part 2 of the Trippy Commentaries Pro Bowl impressions. So we just covered quarterbacks, running backs, and fullbacks, and we'll make our way on to the wide receivers that have made this year's Pro Bowl squad. So,
playmakers, man.
Yep. These guys were all fucking great. I mean, this is one of those positions that we're going to have some snubs, but quite honestly, it's going to be hard to take any of these guys out. So, you got Antonio Brown for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got Josh Gordon for Cleveland, our boy, great player. AJ Green, a no doubter. Andre Johnson, the vet. Demaryius Thomas, one of the most talented players in the league. Got to make it. Dez Bryant, another one of the most talented players in the league. Calvin Johnson, And last, maybe least in this list, is Brandon Marshall. Another beast. So those are the Pro Bowlers. They're all great. Can you say anything bad about any of these guys?
I mean, I felt this year wide receivers personally. I felt this was kind of the year of the wide receiver, man. There was some beasts.
Good call.
Stat-wise, just go-to guys that even from a fantasy standpoint, every week was like these receivers were going off. Mm-hmm. And there was quite a bit of them. Obviously NFL's moving towards more of a passing league, and these guys benefit from it, and they're all great. I mean, I heard what you said about Brandon Marshall. Probably least. I mean,
that's not really.
Once again, we're going.
I'm not trying to diss them.
Yeah, I
list.
felt DeSean Jackson got snubbed. For me, I think Alshon Jeffrey deserved it more than Brandon Marshall because that dude came through from that team needed him.
I disagree, but true.
DeSean, I feel he had a better season than Brandon Marshall, stat wise, everything. But anyways, DeSean Jackson, how did that guy not get voted to the Pro Bowl? I mean, he had a huge year. I mean, that was the DeSean Jackson we remember. You kind of fell off for a little bit, came back. So
yeah, thanks to good old Nick Foles, right?
Actually, Marshall had the better year. 4 more touchdowns. He had about 100 less yards receiving, but
yeah, that's why I disagreed. I mean, Marshall he was the number one guy, and then Alshon Jeffries was the guy who was just making ridiculous catches out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean,
and
he
they came
had
in
7
chunks.
touchdowns as well. I mean,
those two guys and Forte are the reason they're having a chance for the playoffs here.
Yeah,
and Alshon Jeffries and DeSean Jackson, those were the two guys I had written down for my 2 big-time snubs, so I'm not trying to disagree with Alshon Jeffrey. Yeah. I kind of am on Justin's side a little bit, with Marshall a little bit better. The last snub for wide receivers, and this guy, coming into the year, everybody was saying, Tom Brady without Wes Welker, what's going to happen here? What's he going to do? Gronkowski's busted. So, they pointed at Amendola. So everybody's saying this Amendola guy is going to be even better than Wes Welker. Didn't happen. But I'll tell you one guy that was almost just as good as Wes Welker, especially if you look at his if you actually look at his stats, is Julian Edelman. Great season.
Yeah, I agree there. And another guy I'd like to mention who also had this guy really didn't have much to work with this season, Pierre Garçon. I mean, he really did. I mean, stat-wise, he had a lot of yards receiving. He had 5 touchdowns.
107 receptions.
He did okay.
But just imagine that guy with a...
He had a better quarterback.
Actually a stable quarterback who was going to come through every week. I mean, I felt like his name got kind of put down this year, and really he had
because of the RG3 shenanigans.
Yeah. Fortunately, the RG3 vacuum sucked him up.
Yeah, but hey, watch for that Kirk Cousins.
We'll see. Next year we'll have RG3 all over again, and who knows? That's going to be a tough one to predict.
Free agent.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. In Washington, you have RG3 who's really can get injured at any time. It wouldn't surprise us if in next year, first drive of the season, he comes out, does a 20-yard run where someone comes and, hits him upside the head, and he's done. And then Kirk Cousins is coming in, and they're fine, really.
Yeah, every player has a price, though. I mean,
well, that's proven with the Cowboys situation right now. Tony Romo out with the back surgery.
Yeah. Need a good backup quarterback.
You got Kyle Orton.
Paid $10 million for him, too, man. That's why they paid money for him. I mean,
John Kitna. All right, moving on to the tight end position. It looks like they got this right as well. Jordan Cameron, one guy we like quite a bit. He was underutilized big time. VD, Vernon Davis, made the all-Trippy team, so better make the Pro Bowl squad as well. Little Jimmy Graham for the New Orleans Saints, and Julius Thomas, Juice, Peyton Manning's quarterback there in Denver. So, how does that look? Pretty good to you, Justin?
There is no one I could see, replacing any of these 4 studs with. I mean, they
Yeah.
all had great years. Cameron had an up and down year. I think he was out. Was he concussed or something?
He was concussed at the end here, yeah.
These days, who isn't? But overall, I agree with every pick. I'd say, obviously, Jimmy Graham's the beast here.
Yep.
And Julius had a breakout year, probably number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, and somebody who I'm surprised that they weren't listed on here just because of the big name, and he still had a pretty good season. Was Tony Gonzalez? Kind of like a farewell. Yeah. Thanks for everything you've done for the NFL. We know you're retiring. I think he kind of got.
He'll be a replacement. He'll be a replacement.
He needs to be in there over Jordan Cameron. I mean, we love Jordan Cameron, but really, as far as if you look at who we want in there, we want Tony G in there. We want Jordan Cameron to come back next year and try to prove something to us because he didn't prove anything yet.
Well, it wasn't all. I think Cameron proved a lot. I liked him a lot, but their quarterback situation went down the drain. It's kind of like Pierre Garçon. I mean, you were expecting these guys to do good, and they did at points, but then for a whole season, they just did not come through. And I mean, I like that they're trying to kind of push some young guys into the Pro Bowl, but I mean, you got to give it to Tony Gonzalez. It's his last season. I mean, come on, guy's a stud, always has been. Mm-hmm. Was on a shitty offense with no receivers.
He'll never win a Super Bowl.
He became like their number 1 receiver at the age that he is.
That's too bad. Crazy. Yep. Yeah, I mean, come on. Hopefully the NFL fixes that. We definitely need a proper farewell to him. I mean, I remember watching this guy when I was really young, and he's still balling.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell?
One other replacement I see, maybe probably a long shot in some people's eyes, but just because if the team can make the playoffs, if the Dolphins can make the playoffs, Clay's come through with some big games, and tight ends,
Mm-hmm.
I like Charles Clay because he's kind of that utility guy. He goes to fullback, tight end. He'll come out with backfield. He goes move him all over the place because the guy can play for sure.
Yeah, he's one of the reasons why the Dolphins are as good as they are. I mean, they're one of those teams that you look at and you're like, how the hell are they in the playoff discussion?
Again, underutilized. I'm probably stretching here a little bit for him, but every game I seem to watch, he always had a touchdown and was making plays.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, he's definitely an honorable mention to the Pro Bowl if they have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Charles Clay's arrived, so he's one of those players that we'll be keeping an eye on looking forward because, he's just a good player. He's going to make plays.
I thought Greg Olsen looked good this year, too. I thought Cam Newton used him a lot, and he kind of, maybe stat-wise it wasn't the biggest year, but I feel he bailed Cam Newton out of a lot of situations, and he was kind of his go-to guy when he was on the run. So
I think he led the team in receptions, but they were, desperation on escaping the pocket kind of passes.
Right.
And he probably, how many touchdowns did he have? Maybe 6 or 7.
Yep.
All right, so last position we're going to talk about in this part, we're actually going to bring up the kicker position. We got Matt Prater. I mean, he definitely needs to make it. He's the world record holder, so I think he should probably make the Pro Bowl team. And our boy Justin Tucker. These are pretty, 2 obvious picks. One thing I'll point out is we did our fantasy snubs and dubs video, and the number 1 guy, believe it or not, was not one of these 2. It was Steven Gostkowski. So maybe he deserved to be on there. Regardless, Matt Prater, Justin Tucker.
He did make the All-Trippy team.
He did, which is more important than the Pro Bowl. So
Justin Tucker, I mean, pretty much won games himself this year. He, he scored all the points in one game for the Ravens. I mean, that's just crazy. So.
Yeah, I did want to bring something up with the punters they've chosen this year. I had a problem with this. They decided to pick Brandon Fields for the Dolphins. I mean, fucking A. Who cares about that guy? And some dude named Hecker for the Rams. I had never heard of these guys. And I watched some football games, and somehow I'd never heard of the 2 punters. What they should have done is pick the 2 Colquitts, okay? The fucking Colquitt from our all-trippy team who plays for Kansas City, and also the one for Denver, and put them both in there. That's awesome. Everybody would love that. That's a crowd pleaser, right?
Yep, I agree. I mean, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this guy's name right. Hecker, is that it?
That's what I'm saying. Who's he?
I've never heard of him. I mean, but honestly, who keeps really too much track of punters? I mean, you have your few studs that stand out, and that's it. And you get your overpaid ones like, Kanan for the Bucks. So
yeah. Yep. So congratulations to Brandon Fields and Hecker.
Heck of a season, Hecker.
You guys are Pro Bowlers. Well done.
Yeah.
So take it to the bank. So there's your Pro Bowl punters. Good job to Justin Tucker and Matt Prater for being the Pro Bowl kickers. You guys earned it. And see us in part 3 of the Trippy Commentaries Pro Bowl Impressions video. This is where it gets really exciting. We're going to start to break down the offensive line. Stay tuned.